And here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a fun and exciting one that I've been waiting for a while now. We've been trying to set this up for probably like 2 months now. But I finally have what I consider to be my version of the world's most interesting man, Mr. Gabriel. Somebody I know is Mr. Gabriel. He's a coworker here at the school that I teach at, and somebody that we've just had interesting conversations. He said a lot of interesting things around me, so much so that I was like, Mr. Gabriel, would you sit down and do a podcast with me? And he's a hard guy to pin down. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on in his life, but he was kind enough to sit down with me today. And we're probably going to do it in parts. Hopefully I get another session in with him, because I know that the time that we have is probably not going to be enough. But thank you, Mr. Gabriel, for being here.
No, bro.
My first question for you, it's gonna be big, it's gonna be open. But who is Mr. Gabriel? How do you describe yourself? How would you describe the life you've lived? What's your personality? And I know it's an open question, but I'll leave it to you to guide us in any direction that you'd like. So we'll start there.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Oklahoma, Guthrie, Oklahoma. That's where I was born. When I turned 6 years old, my parents took me to Peru. They were attached to the Embassy of Spain there. And so I finished my schooling up to what you call here high school. We call that their secondary school, or upper school. And then at age 18, I came back to the United States, and I went to university here, University of Central Oklahoma, which is it's called right now. That's where I finished most of my schooling. Then I moved to California, where I attended another university to get my degree in linguistics, which turned out to be not very feasible to get jobs as a linguist around here. So the other option was to start teaching. And I had my share of teaching also in my home country. When I was 16 years old, I was teaching in an academy which taught English as a second language, as a foreign language, I'm sorry. Yeah. So throughout my life, I've always been family-oriented with my folks, my parents. When we say family down there, we consider uncles, nephews, everybody is the family. It's not just mother, father, and children. Also considered family is also our friends. I'm a very conservative person, which sometimes is not well seen for some reason. I am Roman Catholic, very Praetorian, which means takes after what Peter started. And so I have my views on what the different societies are, either, to me, societies that are suffering. For others, they call it progressives or whatever they are. So I have my ups and downs when I talk with people. Some of them do not sympathize with my views.
Right.
Say it again?
I said right.
Yeah. So that's where basically my life is based on that. So anything that is around me, the teaching always has been directed to more of the education part rather than the actual academic thing. And that's most of the classes that I teach, always and sometimes, well, actually most of the time, I involve facts of the world, or culture, history, geography, even in courses like math. So I like to have my kids to learn more than just the mathematical operations or stuff like that. I am also going to be turning 70 years old next year, and I will be retiring again. As a couple of years ago, I retired, but and I started working as a substitute teacher here at the school. But I was offered a job, and so I got out of retirement and started teaching for the school. But I think I already paid my dues on this. So next year, I'll be just subbing.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many years in education?
29.
29
years.
And walk me through that a little bit. Tell me, what were you teaching? What grade level? Where?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, when I was 16 years old, it was third grade secondary school. I was offered a job during the summertime to teach English as a foreign language at the academy over there. The academy is actually under the British Council. It's called the British Cultural Association, or whatever that's called. Mm-hmm. So I taught part-time, like about 25 hours a week. And I redid it again, did the same thing during the fourth and fifth year in secondary school. So for 3 years during the summertime, I was teaching. I was still a student in a high school, as you can consider, but I was teaching already. So my teaching experience began at an early age. Yeah.
16 years old, right?
16, yeah.
Yeah. And then once you got here to the States?
Well, I wanted to be a linguist.
Right.
Which I am. I mean, I have a degree for us.
Yeah.
But I applied different jobs. Most of them were completely overseas and places where I wouldn't go, although linguists are usually, ready to go. I did some experience that I did in the jungles of Peru with Gideons. I don't know if you know what the Gideons are. The Gideons are the ones that provided Bibles, used to provide Bibles in all the hotels. When you open a little drawer and you see a blue thing there, little blue book, that was the Gideon's Bible. So with the New Testament. So the Gideons settled somewhere in the middle of the jungle to teach the tribes over there to turn them into Christianity. But at the same time, with the same token, they started learning English. So I found, when I got there, that some of them spoke their native language. They spoke English, but they didn't speak Spanish, which is the actual language in Peru. So
the natives did not speak Spanish.
The natives did not speak Spanish.
Okay.
They didn't have any way of learning it because they lived in their community, which is very far away from the areas where Spanish was spoken. Mm-hmm. But since the Gideons, mostly Americans, settled over there as missionaries, so they learned their language, which was English, and their native language. So my job for about close to 12 weeks was to teach them some Spanish. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. It was a volunteer work. I did not get paid for it. But that was the only thing that I could do as a linguist at the time. So that mainly taught me. Linguistics takes a lot of information on teaching. So, that's how I became a teacher.
Got it.
Okay.
And then what about here, teaching here in the United States?
Teaching here in the United States?
Yeah.
Well, I started teaching in the United States when I finished college in Oklahoma. I started teaching for I can't remember the name of the academy. But I was teaching English to those people that were trying to get their residence here in the United States. Most of them were people undocumented, but the government back in the days with when President Ronald Reagan was in charge, there were a lot of schools or academies, or you would call them, which taught something different. They were assigned to, well, they weren't assigned, I mean, they took these grants from the government to teach these people. So that's how I started teaching English as a second language in Oklahoma. I returned to Peru also in 1986 for a couple of years, where I taught high school over there. and then I came here to California.
Yeah.
So here in California, I started teaching for the Los Angeles Unified. Oh, wait a minute! I started teaching for the Inglewood Unified School District. Then moved to the Los Angeles Unified School District. Then Long Beach Unified School District. Then Hayward Unified School District. Then Manteca Unified School District. Then a charter school 3 years ago, and I was with them for about 5 years. And then I've been here for almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you add all those years, it's a lot of years.
That's a lot of years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good walkthrough. I guess that's kind of a good segue into the next question. So you've been to a lot of different places, right?
Yeah.
Just from that alone, from your work experience. And remind me again where you were born. Oklahoma. Oklahoma.
Right, state of Oklahoma, and I was born in a city, Guthrie, which used to be the capital of Oklahoma. Now Oklahoma City is the capital.
I see. So Guthrie used to be the capital of Oklahoma.
Right.
I see. Okay.
When I was born, that was the capital.
Yeah.
That was where the largest city over there was Tulsa.
Yeah.
You know, I guess because of the booming of the the oil fields and all that, and the cattle.
Mm-hmm.
So
got it. So my question to you is, what have you learned from being in all these different places? So you've lived and worked in a lot of different places, but you've also, like, in our conversations, you've also mentioned that you enjoy traveling as well for leisure. Is that right?
right.
Yeah. So what is it about, what can you say about going to a lot of different places? Like, has that influenced you as a person? Has that opened your eyes? You mentioned seeing a lot of different cultures.
Quite a bit.
So tell me about it.
Well, different areas that I went, different cities, different countries that I have visited. I usually try to learn things. Well, actually, that's my life. I like learning.
Yeah.
And, if it's not reading, maybe it's watching videos or talking to people. I do not speak a lot of languages fluently, but I do speak some, which I can communicate with. I can speak Spanish, I can speak Italian, French, a little German. The other languages, I do use some language to be able to communicate, but very short things like asking for directions or greetings, or when I'm at a restaurant, what to order. Okay, so, and the other one's Italian. But having said that, I also appreciate the culture, ancient culture of different cultures. I like music very much. Rock and roll is what I really enjoy, but I like classical music as well. I like reggae. I like salsa to a point, although people, I believe, or what I've seen, cannot differentiate what salsa is with the different tropical music that is around, which not all of it is salsa. And salsa is a term that was born in New York when the rumba and another type of music joined together with some rock and roll influence. That was salsa. Now, anything that comes from Cuba or comes from Puerto Rico or comes from different areas in Central America or the tropical coast, they think that that's salsa, and that is not it. I like jazz quite a bit as well. My favorite jazz players, Oscar Peterson, some others. But I do enjoy music. And with that, I enjoy also music that comes from ancient origins. And I enjoy looking at or watching people play these instruments that are kind of, sometimes they look really weird, but they make a sound, and how they interact with those, especially Andean music, which is music that came from all over the Andes, different ones. So you have Quechua music, you have music from the Quechuas, you have from the Aymaras, and also from some places like Argentina and Chile in the south part of South America, and it sounds so mystical and so impressive. With the instruments are not like the Western type instruments that we know. They have sort of like guitar, which is called a charango, which has 4 chords. It's not a banjo, and it's made out with which is actually the shell of an armadillo. And they have these drums that are made with leather from different animals. They have other types of instruments, percussion, that are made with the dry skin of fruits. So, and same as in China, you find the same thing. So all these things fascinate me. It's really, I can sit there, I can listen to this music for hours, and I don't get tired.
Never get bored.
No, you never get bored.
Yeah.
Also, I do like opera. I like Jose Carreras. I like Pavarotti, Placido Domingo. I appreciate their music as well. In the sense of other things that I enjoy is history. Anything that's history, I'm there to learn it. Yesterday, for example, I was watching a series that I started yesterday, and it was about how regular soldiers got the Congressional Medal of Honor for what they did on the field. That they say that posthumously, most of the time, they earn it, but posthumously. But there are some that are still alive to tell their stories. And that was very, very impressive of how the last one I saw is how they defended garrison, you might call it, in the middle of the mountains in Afghanistan. 50 soldiers were attacked by 400 terrorists. They put them down, and it was almost impossible for them to come alive. But because of the actions and how they methodically followed certain rules of engagement, they actually defeated the other 400. They went running back to the mountains. So that is really... So I started it the day before yesterday.
What is it called?
Last night. I can't remember exactly the name of it, but it's on what's the name of that thing? The not Hulu, the other one?
Netflix?
Netflix. Yeah, it's on Netflix. So yeah. So there's a lot of things that impress me, and other things related to my life nowadays. I am a person who has acceptance for everything, but I do not condone everything. So I accept certain things in society, because I cannot be there just be against something. But I should have my choice of just accepting but not condoning.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's okay if you want to do this.
Right.
Just don't involve me in it.
Right. I respect you for it.
Yeah.
But don't involve me in it.
That, but I don't want any business with it.
So, but nowadays, things are going around that somehow they try to force you into these things, or they try to put you as a negative thing of what the new thing is, and that is something that I have to deal with almost every day. Not only with people outside, with family members, with relatives, but with everything. Right. And I have my reservations about things that are done here in school also, that I have to accept them. I cannot complain. I have to accept them, but that's who I am.
Got it. Very cool. So I actually have a lot. Well, first of all, many cool things that you just shared right there. And yeah, that sounds like all this, the value that a person can get from seeing the world, seeing different people, exposing yourself to different cultures. I do want to linger on that, if you're okay with it, though. This idea that you're willing to accept things, but there are certain things that you don't condone, and you said that how can I say? it's something that you have to kind of navigate every day, or it's like part of life now. Are you okay with me asking you a question about that?
No problem.
All right. So basically my question is, how do you navigate that? Because I can speak for myself just real briefly. Like, I kind of feel similar. It seems like we are in time and place, and maybe you can speak to this too. I've only been alive for about I'm 27. It feels like now more than ever, it's hard to say how you really feel about something without somebody trying to put a label on you, trying to call you something that you're not, just because you have a different perspective, essentially. And so I struggle with that personally a lot, quite a bit, and I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that. Like, do I just speak up and say, fuck it? And obviously there's respect, right? But you kind of have to, wherever you stand on something, there's like, you can stand firm on things that you believe, even when the crowd, the people, the world is trying to tell you, no, be quiet. Your perspective is wrong. This is what you need to think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So again, my question to you is, how do you navigate that? How do you deal with it? Do you just mind your business? I'll leave it to you.
Well, the navigation is like going down a crooked river.
Right.
So you have to evade here, accept here, hide from here, show up at certain times. Make sure that, at nighttime you do a different thing than during the daytime, or the daytime different nighttime, and one nighttime is different than the next nighttime. So, as you said, you have to really navigate, and how do you say that? You have to adapt in a way to the way of living that you have to build for yourself in order not to, get into things that might hurt somebody, or you might get hurt yourself.
Yeah.
I think we're open to talk here between you and I, and I have my reservations on gay people. I have my reservations on pro-choice and pro-life. I have my reservations on other things similar to those.
Sure. Yeah.
And I stand firm when I say I'm very conservative. So you can take it from there where I'm standing without me telling you anymore. Right? So.
Well, yes and no. So, you can have like an idea, right? But I think, for me personally, it's always better when somebody like elaborates. Well, exactly. Like, what do you mean by conservative, right? Because conservative to you could be like a religious conservative, right? Or you could be like a social conservative, or you could be like an economic conservative. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of.
Okay.
Again,
in my case,
you don't have to explain if you're not comfortable, because again,
I am comfortable explaining whatever, sir.
Sure. Then by all means.
Okay.
But
first of all, let me tell you, I'm a conservative all the way across the line.
All the way.
All across the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have my wife's brother, for example. He's gay, and he married. As long as it's a marriage, I don't mind. I can accept that.
Yeah.
The change of it. But please don't tell me that if it's two guys adopting a child, to me, the sense of family is a man and a woman. Okay.
Yep.
Same thing with my daughter. Was asked her. She said that she doesn't believe in having children. That she has a dog with whoever she's living now. Just say, why don't you get married? Oh no, we just live. I accept it. I don't condone it. If you're going to be living together, you get married.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to the thing about children, it says, what happens if for some reason you get pregnant? And he says, well, I'll go for an abortion. I says, oh no, if you do that, you will not be my daughter. I will respect you. And so she got very angry, and then I had to think again. Yeah. And I had to say, okay, well, that's her choice. okay, to be on that path. But if you're going to ask me to vote for abortion, I'm not. I will never do that.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
I believe in inclusion, okay, but inclusion to a certain level. Because if the inclusion means that you're going to be included in that inclusion as well, that doesn't fly with me. I'll be inclusive in the way that I see things, but not in the way that I live things.
Right. I think it's kind of like, again, having the option, right?
Right. You know.
You can do it. You can, whatever your business, you can handle it your way, but just don't involve me. Is that right?
Right. Nowadays, you know, where you were talking also about being economically conservative. Well, I'm going to taxes, for example. Where do my taxes go? There's a bunch of my taxes, especially here in California, that go to promote this entitlements for people who didn't work for that.
Yeah.
Okay? So nowadays, for my taxes, we pay schools for undocumented people. You pay for health for undocumented people. You pay for food for undocumented people. You pay for even cash outs for undocumented people. I'm going to give you an example. I have a lady whose daughter comes and walks my dog when we're on vacation somewhere with my wife. I got to meet the lady, the mother, and asked her what does she do. Well, she said that she does actually kind of like the same thing. She babysits, she takes care of elder people, she cleans houses. She's busy all day, like for about 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Okay, well, her kids are in school. Okay, and the husband, what does he do? He's a mechanic. He, as a mechanic, earns, I don't know how much, $3,000-$4,000 a month. She doing what she's doing, she makes almost about the same that he does, but she doesn't report that. See? So, but the husband working and earning only $4,000 a month. And that family has 4 children. So because of that, they're entitled to $200 per child, plus $200 per food per child, plus free school, plus free health insurance. I'm totally against that. And you know what? I've been called a lot of things. I've been called a racist. Yeah. I've been called a bigot. Yeah. I've been called insensitive. Yeah. I've been called you're no good. Yeah. I don't care. I stand where I stand. Yeah. Are you liking it, huh?
Well, I'll say this. I actually, in a time where it's hard for people to actually say how they really feel, I actually have a lot of respect for people that are not afraid to say how they really feel. Now, that doesn't mean I agree with everything that you've just laid out, right? And we can talk about that, in a separate time. We don't have to talk about it right now.
Right now?
No. Because I have other questions. We have limited time. But if we do a part 2, we could definitely revisit this because I think it's there's a lot to speak on here.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a lot of respect. I appreciate you for voicing your thoughts. And I guess one more follow-up before we move on. The last part that you just mentioned, that you've been called a lot of different things, right?
Hello?
You've been called a lot of different things. You said you've been called a racist, a bigot, insensitive, this and that, right? But you're willing to stand with where you are. So I guess 2 questions. The first one is, how do you handle that? Like you personally, right? How do you, when the people are, however they're saying it to you, shouting at you, telling you, Mr. Gabriel, you're a racist for thinking the way that you do. You're a bigot. How do you handle that, right? So we'll start there, and then I guess I'll just tell you so you have an idea. My second question is, how do you if you try to empathize with the people that you disagree with? So all these other people that are calling you these names, like, what do you think they are coming from? Yeah, so.
Well, both questions are actually together.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. The reason, and I'm going to explain that this way.
Yeah.
Okay. When people call me these things, Okay, I am. Besides being conservative, I'm a very analytical person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I were a drug addict or an alcoholic or a gambler or whatever, it is impossible for me. It will be impossible for me to. This is a discussion I had with somebody else before. To be attending 12-step sessions and stuff like that because I'm too analytical. I always asking questions towards things that are said for, but the thing is that there are no answers for them. Of course, there are answers. I can get the answer, but that person doesn't like that answer.
Yeah.
Right? And that person would think, oh, you're just making this up, or, why are you questioning this? This is true.
Yeah.
Well, why is it true? Because this and that? Okay, explain that part. So that is, and I'm always thinking, okay, when the word for me, ignorance, has a very mild meaning and has a very strong meaning. Depends on who you're calling an ignorant. Okay? Because ignorance is not a bad word. Because I am ignorant of about many things that I still need to learn.
Yeah.
So I'm still ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
So I put myself in the shoes of that person. Whoever thinks different than I do.
Yeah.
Okay? And I analyze. Why is that person thinking this way?
Yeah.
What made this person, what is the background of this person that turned this person into what she or he is?
Yeah.
What are the things that he's told? Most of the time, I'm not saying all the time, but most of the time, I came to the conclusion that that person did not build his or her appreciation of things by herself. And I've been a leader of me all the time. I've led my life to the way I want it, and I don't care what people say about me, not even the way I dress. I don't give a hoot.
Yeah.
Okay? My wife calls me all the time, why are you wearing this? I mean, that's not on fashion. I said, I don't care. This is what I wear. All right? And the same way with things. What's your opinion on this? This is my opinion. Well, but that's bad. I mean, you think this is, I have an answer for it. And so most of the time people say, oh, but that's an ancient answer. I mean, that answer does not comply with things right nowadays. I says, well, they do to me. You like it? Like it. You don't like it? You don't like it. But I'm still opposed to what you're saying. So I'm very frank, direct to the point.
Yeah.
And sometimes I ask questions myself too. I say, why do you think that I'm wrong? Explain to me why I'm wrong. Okay? Should we get into this?
Let's do it.
The Bible says, and I'm all for it, the Bible says a man should not lay down with a man. And I asked that to my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't want to talk about it. And I said, why? Well, because new things are no new things. I mean, are you Christian or Christian? If you profess a religion, you profess a religion all the way. Mm-hmm. You don't pick and choose on that religion.
Well, some people do.
Well, but that's not right, because they should just refuse the whole thing. But they can pick and choose from the religion, okay? Make their own religion for the things that they pick well, so you make another one. But leave that one alone.
Well, that's kind of what some people do, right? This is why they have Christianity, Catholicism,
right.
Orthodox.
People that go and start praying, and the next day they are at the surgeon, getting an abortion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Create your own religion.
Right.
No, but I like this one. Yep. Take the things you like from that and make your own. Leave that one alone, entire as it is.
Yeah. I see. So you're kind of like a purist. If you're going to follow something, follow it all the way.
Of course.
I got you.
I believe so, and that is not only religion, on my principles that I have.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All, my different stages of being a person.
Yeah.
I respect myself for what I am.
Yeah.
I always did. As I said here, now we went into this, kids here on the 8th grade, they are 13 years old, going on to 14. I think they're too young for flyers to be set around. with a rainbow to be colored, which says pride. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I believe that you can do that when they are 16. We are way into the middle of the high school.
Yeah.
Maybe their minds will be ready to make a decision.
Yeah.
Because right now, what we're doing, we're not asking them to make a decision. We're imposing that to them. That was my opinion about that flyer that went around.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. But if you ask me directly, like we're talking right now, if Mr. Worley or Ms. Dunham come and say, hey, what's the matter with you? I will tell the same thing I'm telling you.
Mm.
Because it's the truth.
That's how you feel.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I believe that when you're younger than 15 years old, you are so susceptible to anything that they guide you into.
Sure. What is the latest trend?
Right.
I just want to hop on the latest trend.
You need to wait until you're 16. In this case, nowadays, I think you should wait until you're 18 to really make a decision and say, okay, why are they giving this to me? Oh, yeah, I agree with this, so I'm going to color it.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to agree with this, so I don't want to color it.
Yeah.
You should give that option to the student.
Yeah. Man. Mr. Gabriel getting it spicy in here. What can I say about that? So I hear you, right, on the idea that young people are impressionable, and I think we should be careful about the concepts and the ideas that we are putting in front of them.
What I'm thinking is, that has no part in schooling.
Maybe
schooling should be academic,
right,
and the exposure of values based on family, as family.
Yeah.
And what you should do for community in the way of who you're going to respect.
Yeah.
You respect people who do something for you. Okay? Like defund the police, forget that.
Yeah.
This type of things.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
okay, why is your house have this American flag that has also a blue stripe and a red stripe? Why? Because I remember 9/11. How many firefighters, how many of these people died saving others?
Yeah.
But people don't like that. Okay? If you go and there's kids that are 12-year-old kids. I see on the news, I see on magazines that walking out the door, doing other things and burning things under cars with the BLM thing. That's a group. I respect their position. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't burn something that belongs to me.
Right. Man, Mr. Gabriel. Okay, so how can I touch? This is actually the first time I've had to confront this on the podcast, but I'll just leave it at this because we could really go on, and I think just for the sake of time, we're gonna have to revisit this if you're okay with that. Because I would like to explore this with you more in depth.
I'm just getting warmed up here.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, man, you're the one that has to go.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to sit here for like 2 hours. I think we could. But I'll say this. Again, kind of like what you said earlier, I just, first of all, respect you for trusting me and being open to share.
It's not I trust you. It's just you ask me the question
Sure.
and you get the answer.
Sure. You are aware this will be on the internet, though, right?
What?
This will be on the internet.
Like a minute, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. There's no video, so it's just audio. But Mr. Gabriel, he's cool with it. It's what do they say? Water's on a duck's back.
Look, coming back to that, the only thing I have. Look, I didn't. What do you call that? The Facebook, the type of media.
Social media?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I have social media, and I only talk with whoever I follow in, is Twitter.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't have Facebook.
Right.
I don't have Messenger. I don't have, what's the other thing?
Instagram?
Snapchat.
Snapchat, Twitter.
What's the other one?
Instagram?
Instagram. I don't have that.
Yeah. So he's chilling. He's
I
off.
like that.
Yeah, I hear you. And you're too, no offense, right? But you're past that. This is for young people, right? Or people that are bored. I think there's a decent amount of people that.
Finish with something.
Sure, please.
Very nicely.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, we were remembering our trips with my wife, places we visited around the world.
Yeah.
And I was trying her to remember the first one when we were in Sevilla, in Spain, and the breakfast that we had at the hotel that we stayed.
This is the first trip you guys took?
No, it was one of our trips.
Got it.
This was 2019.
Yeah.
She couldn't remember. But then after a minute or so, he says, "Oh yeah, we had this, and that." Yeah, that's right. How do you know? Well, because of my pictures. People that take too many pictures, they rely on the pictures to remember.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take pictures. Everything's in my head. Everything's in my. I remember who I spoke with. I remember because my mind is free of thinking about. Okay, I have it here, so when I need it, I'm going to pull it out. No, I'd rather have it in my brain until the day I die.
Yeah.
There you go.
No pictures at all, eh?
I don't take pictures. If my wife asks me to take a picture, I will.
Yeah.
But I take pictures of myself saying cheers to my friends across the world.
Yeah.
But not of places that, oh, look, I'm here and explain. Here I'm having this with this and that. Get that.
Yeah. Get out of here. He's not with it.
Yeah.
Young people. All right, Mr. Gabriel. We got about 5 minutes left.
All right.
Again, if you're willing to, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you again. I know time is tough. I know life is tough.
I don't know when.
I know.
But I'll let you know.
Thank you.
We still have 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
I think so.
Well,
What
okay.
time is it?
No, yeah, it's 1:50 right now.
Oh, 1:50.
Yeah, 7 minutes? Yeah, 7 minutes and we'll get out of here. It's tough because I got like 6 more questions. But such is life, eh? We'll leave it at this. You've lived many years, right?
Yeah.
You've lived many years. Just earlier.
Not too many.
Not too many, but you said that you're about to
69 only.
you're about to turn 70. What a number, eh? 69.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good number.
It's a good number and a good position.
Yikes. I knew it. I knew it. I set him up for that. I set him up for that.
I choose a woman.
Mr. Gabriel, take it easy, man. Okay. My question to you is, what are some of the biggest life lessons that you've learned?
What?
Biggest life lessons that you've learned. Some of the ones that stick out to you.
Okay.
Where you're like, so maybe something happened in your life and you learned, like, ooh,
Well,
that really
something
sticks with
happened
me.
in my life. It's something that
Or, just situations, whatever. Take it away.
situation that has not happened with me, but I'm always prepared.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to tell you my answer.
Okay.
Ask you the question.
Yeah.
Okay. Is your father alive?
He is, yeah.
Do you have kids?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Let's imagine that you have
Yeah.
a 2-year-old,
Yeah.
and you, all three of you, your dad, you, and the kid, you go to a picnic or something, you go by the lake. And your dad takes your child to, take a bath in the lake. All of a sudden, they both are drowning. But you only have one rope.
Yikes.
Who are you going to pull out, your dad or your child? And why?
Yeah. So you want me to answer that question?
No, I can answer. Well,
Okay.
I mean, if you want to answer, fine. But I'll
Okay.
tell you what.
Okay.
I will have to say bye-bye to my dad.
Yeah.
Okay, my child has more
Yeah.
years to live than my dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. And some people don't like being asked that question.
Yeah.
Why are you asking me that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It could come one day that'll happen.
Right.
But you're prepared for the decision.
Sure.
And you're prepared with the words you're going to tell your dad while you see him sinking. And you know what words you're going to use to convince him that it's okay for him to go. And this is something you should be prepared from early stage. You don't have to be my age to be prepared for something like that. It could happen to anybody at any moment.
Anytime.
Yeah. I don't know. You're inside the car, it starts burning, and who are you going to say first? You have like 1 second. Who are you going to pull out first?
Right.
Where's your dad, or is your wife and the child? Who you pick? Those are questions that I already have answers for, and what to say to those people, because I have to prepare for life.
What is the lesson in that?
What is the answer?
No, what is the lesson in that?
What is the lesson in that?
Yeah.
That you need to know your options to keep on living. That's the lesson I'm teaching myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to remind me of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I see things that happen in the news, and there's some say, why did it do that? Why wouldn't it happen this way? It would have been better this way. And then I ask, okay, the thing is that this, whatever happens, took these people by surprise. I don't like to be taken by surprise.
Got it. Is that it?
Yeah.
So basically, if I may kind of summarize, anticipate life events, unexpected life events in advance, think about them, meditate on them, so that if they ever come up, you're a little bit more prepared than if you had never spent any time thinking about it. Then you're caught by surprise, unprepared. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and you suffer more if you're not prepared.
Right. But the, I guess, ironic part, like you mentioned, is that most people do not like thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I can say for me, I have a similar thing when it comes to my own mortality. Like, I actually think about my own mortality quite a bit. I acknowledge, and actually the people around me too. So I haven't thought about your situation exactly, but I've thought about, okay, I recognize that at any moment I can go.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm 69. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I have to think that a lot.
Sure. And that's something you can, the way I look at it is you can either avoid it or you can meditate on it and think, okay, knowing that, how am I going to choose to live my life? I'm not going to run from this reality because it is a reality. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to think about it and say, okay, knowing this, how do I live my life? And then I try to take the same thing with my people too. Like, I don't have kids, but I have younger siblings. And I try to think about that too. Like, man, any one of them could go before me. How am I going to feel about that? How am I going to respond? Am I okay with that? It's just all kinds of questions that come up, right? It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
The more you think about those questions that you're asking yourself, and you try to get answers for those, the more prepared you're going to be.
Right. At least a little bit.
Yeah.
Death might be the extreme, right? But
yeah. There are things in life that you cannot
control.
Yeah. And there are things that you know already that you're not going to be able to control.
Right.
So you provide for that ahead of time.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Stoics? Stoicism?
No.
No? Got it.
The who?
The Stoics.
The Stoics.
The Stoics, yeah. Ancient Greek? Ancient Rome? No?
No.
So we have 1 minute, but I'll try to summarize. Basically, it's like a way of a philosophy on life that came up during. I mean, it's very related
Stoicism.
to Stoicism. You know Stoicism.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the Serenity Prayer. Are you familiar with the Serenity Prayer? What is it? Help me. God, grant me the grace to accept the things that I cannot control.
Cannot control.
And the something for
help me with the things I can control.
I can control.
And let me understand the difference.
There you go. Something along those lines, right? Yeah. So the Stoics basically taught that philosophy. Yeah. It's like nature is harsh, it's ruthless, it's cruel, it's not fair.
Well, if you want to be good, you can also go into the branch of the cynics.
Right. No, but the Stoics try to live a life of virtue. They say, here are all the bad things. Yeah. Here are all the bad things that can happen. Here is what nature is really like. But you can still live a life of virtue. You can still conduct your way in a manner that is productive, positive, and try to get the most out of it. And just kind of like what you mentioned earlier, acceptance.
Yeah.
Right? Acceptance that life is wild, it's all over the place, and there are just certain things that you have to accept.
That's right.
So we'll leave it at that. What a great start, I'll say. And what did we just do? We just did 50 minutes, and we probably answered about 2 to 3 questions, which is pretty interesting. Mr. Gabriel, I appreciate your time. Hopefully, I would love to, like I said, I would love to sit down with you again, because I think there's a lot of stuff that we could go even deeper into. Just need time. And no rush. If you're open to it, let's make it happen. If not, I totally understand. Regardless, thank you for your time. Anything else you'd like to say before you get out of here?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gabriel, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening.